Okay, let's do it.
Woo! All right. Here we go again.
I'm so proud of everyone. I take it back.
Just kidding.
Please don't compliment her.
Oh my gosh.
Why didn't we have margaritas for this episode?
Honestly, I need a shot.
Welcome to Book Thots. We are thoughts for books, and these are our thoughts on books. For today's episode, we are doing our strip down of Lesser Gods by Heather Dubree. We had so much fun during our author interview last episode that we invited her back for our discussion today.
Woo-hoo. Before we jump in, we do have a content warning. Today's podcast is rated mature. We are book thoughts after all, so we are going to be using adult language, talking about adult topics. So please pay attention to who may be listening near you. Lastly, I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. Maybe we, will at least mispronounce a name or place. Emily will be leading this episode, so let's jump into the strip down.
Strip it down, girl. Strip it down. We need to get into a recording studio, probably similar to this one.
Yes.
And record a little sound that says like "strip it down, girl. Strip it down." Love it. As always, if you don't need the recap, then please feel free to skip straight ahead to the discussion by clicking below, or you can find the timestamp in the summary. All right. Buckle up, vampire lovers, because you're about to get sucked in.
Ooh.
I'm going to emphasize this yet again. Sucked in. This book opens on the battlefield. Our main character, Emmeline, is rushing around a tent trying to save as many maps and text as she can while her uncle Marcus, the general, is insisting she get to safety. It's noted that her friend Sasha is helping as a medic on the battlefield. While Emmeline is loaded in a carriage with the rest of the researchers, she watches her uncle run back to the front lines, a scene she has seen too many times. In the carriage, she's seated. In the dang carriage, she's seated next to her optimistic best friend Jane, who has also been helping this fight that they call the 200-year war. The optimism doesn't last long when they hear a whistle outside. Next moment, the carriage is overturned, Jane is dead, and the coachman's insides are coming out. Might need Sasha. The vampires who overturn the carriage are wearing gold masks and black face paint. Everyone is in black robes except for him, the Wraith of Eternalis.
Yes.
We can just end it here. That's the whole podcast. He's draped in white. He looks at Emmeline with bright gray eyes and says, "Run, little rabbit." No, it's not. It's not evil. No, it's not evil. But now I have like a country. I'm like, "Run, little rabbit." You know?
Stop it. Get out of here.
That's not it. He says, "Run, little rabbit." And at this moment, I'm sorry, Adriana, but I like how she says, "a voice like honey, thick and dripping." The moment is interrupted when a young kid, Charles, tries to save her. He is quickly disposed of by the Wraith. This only fuels her anger, and she attacks with more bravado, but it doesn't make a difference. She loses her knife, he grabs her, and without moving his lips, he speaks. What? The Wraith instantly drops her, and as Emmeline's head explodes with pain, she passes out. She awakes to her aunt, Eva, caring for her and instantly remembering the horrors from the battlefield. While eating and drinking, we get a little history lesson with her internal monologue. She recounts how close they were to finishing the map of the Palace of Eternalis, including the underground tunnels that housed the oldest vampires, aka their lesser gods. They, the humans, rebelled over 200 years ago, tired of being treated like slaves and lesser beings. The High King Romulus forced men into their service and stole their women, ripping their children away from them and giving them as gifts to barren vampire lords and ladies. They had been turning mortals for centuries, but it didn't make the mortals immortal, only half-bloods. Living a longer life, but more importantly, producing offspring or acting as a long-term blood supply, little blood bags. Because of this, everyone has a little vampire blood in them. Her uncle is 80, but looks 50, and was a quarter vampire. Her uncle was also a military genius and took over the city of Libertine, where she currently lives. Our history lesson ends as he walks into their home with rosy cheeks from the cold. Her uncle hugs Emmeline, but then rushes with her aunt to a meeting. The 28-year-old Latin-speaking Emmeline stays behind and mourns her friend Jane. She is reminded to attend the funeral for those that had fallen. She puts on her black lace covering her eyes. What was once a symbol of their servitude to the vampires quickly became a symbol of their people. Emmeline doesn't stay at the funeral long, as she has a feeling that someone is watching her. She skips the service and rushes home and locks the door. Her little 15-year-old cousin, Cairo, is safely sleeping inside. Breakfast the next morning is somber. The last 2 years have been the worst. Too many funerals, and the vampires assaulted the soil, making it impossible to grow anything. After breakfast, she visits the university and goes to the hospital to help Sasha. Emmeline and Sasha end up embracing each other, both mourning the people they've lost. After a while, she walks home, still feeling like someone is watching her. The feeling continues for the next few weeks. And on top of the feeling of being watched, someone has been leaving books at her doorstep. Someone, but who? One night, she dreams of her parents dying and that voice of the wraith. She awakes with a startle and goes downstairs to find her uncle awake. There will be another council meeting tomorrow. Before she heads back to bed, he asks Emmeline what she would do if there was no war. She answers, read novels and teach. What would she do for no war? Anything and everything. The next day, she is startled when her aunt tells her it's over. What is? The war? But how? What did they give them? Oh, simple. A bride or groom, a true weaving of the people together that gives the vampires an ability to have kids. How will this be chosen, you ask? A drop of blood from everyone of marriageable age during the ceremony, which by the end, the person to be married will be revealed.
And they're single. They don't take people that have already been
only
married.
single.
Yeah.
All the single ladies and men.
Exactly.
And everyone else, the animals, I don't know. Okay. The person chosen will rule next to the vampire prince and keep their interests at heart, but will also have to be turned by the prince. But even though her whole life hangs in a delicate balance, it's time to party. Today is a celebration. The war is over. The next day, the bloodletting is being hosted at the Temple of Selene, a neutral place. Emmeline is a bit nervy. She was ready to live a life beyond this war, but here she was adding a drop of blood into a bowl that would decide her fate. After everyone who is of marriageable age does this, 10 cloaked figures come forward and take off their hoods. The king, surrounded by the specters, including the wraith. The seer joins them next, delivering a speech, and then ends with the words, blood over all else. Then what I can only assume looks like a giant punch bowl. The bowl cracks, blood spills, except one drop. The one drop shoots across the sky and smacks Emmeline on the forehead. She is to be Prince Euclid's bride. She is quickly brought to the back of the temple for a brief meeting. The king is giddy at the fact that the one chosen is Marcus's family. He also introduces Imogen. Imogen will help with this transitional period, and Emmeline is given a volunteer to serve her household, Sasha. Sasha, you a real one. The king goes on to explain that the wedding will happen soon, and 14 days after that is the turning. Lastly, he offers the protection of the specters while they get everything ready for her arrival. Emmeline is going to be sick. She wants nothing to do with the wraith. In fact, she wants him dead. She steps back and holds a sword out towards the wraith. This new treaty is having a great start. Her aunt calms her down and takes her home. She flees to her bedroom and cries in her aunt's arms. The specters and wraith take up shop across the street. The next day, she awakes to Sasha and a horrible headache. A quick conversation reveals that Sasha volunteered because she saw she needed someone in her corner. The headache persists and nothing helps. Sasha runs out to try to gather some herbs to help. Emmeline awakes to a warm mug of ginger and peppermint that must have been dropped off by Sasha. It helps tremendously. What can't peppermint fix? Once she is feeling better, she goes foraging with Sasha, and it's interrupted by the rain. Emmeline thanks her for the tea, and Sasha is about to respond when lightning strikes. She, of course, feels like she is being watched as she runs to her house. 5 days pass, and she is now officially packed for her future. Her uncle has been solidifying things with the vampires, and there is already a sign of growth between their people. The vampires know how to help with the soil. How convenient. Emmeline decides to go hunting for chamomile with Sasha, but they quickly become the hunted. Not by the chamomile, but by a pack of rabid wolves.
I just have this vision now of like him
chasing.
like chasing them.
As soon as I wrote it out, I was like, I should probably say that the chamomile is not what's hunting them. Luckily, they are saved by the specters and the wraith. The next day, they are summoned to Eternalis. Bells ring as she is leaving. Her people are acknowledging her sacrifice. She heads out with Imogen, Sasha, and the wraith in a windowless carriage. Anyone else getting some motion sickness? They pull up to the gorgeous palace, and it's just as pretty on the inside. Despite her giant accommodations, she and Sasha sleep back to back as the people outside were preparing for the ceremony. She awakes confused, but to a human preparing her bath. She gets dressed for her wedding, but not without adding the black lace around her eyes, the symbol of her people, their funeral garment. She walks out to her future husband only to find who is meeting her at the altar? None other than the wraith Euclid, the crown prince of Eternalis. The ceremony takes place, and then she is taken into a room to sign a contract with her blood. Then it's straight to the banquet hall to celebrate. She was dreading the celebration, but at the same time wanting it to last forever. She did not want to be whisked away to her bedchambers with the prince. But eventually it comes, and she is ready to go with a knife in hand. He doesn't make a great first impression when he sucks on her puncture wound that she got from signing the document. They argue, wife and vampire are thrown around like curse words. He doesn't understand why she is even there. She responds by saying, "I have fought my entire life because of your kind. I have been willing to die every goddamn day of my short life, so yes, I am willing to live for them." She just wants to be turned and get it over with, but he refuses to touch her for 14 days. He storms out. Sasha finds her and asks if Euclid hurt Emmeline. Sasha makes her coffee and reiterates that Em can trust her. Bullshit. The next morning, lies and deceit. It's the next morning, and she wonders what the rules are for her new circumstances. She steps out on the veranda and wonders if this is her new life. Imogen shows up to discuss the treaty and is surprised Emmeline can speak Latin. Imogen hands Em the Vampire Codex written by Lilith, the first vampire, which happens to be written on human skin with human blood, which makes Em, and I put, flows up.
Em goes and flows up.
She flows up.
I would too. Can you imagine the smell?
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to. I might flow up right here. Despite no bars or locks, she still doesn't leave her room. She is in her own mental prison. No locks needed. Sasha finally shows back up from her tour of the castle with ruthless Imogen. Shortly after, Euclid shows up to give her a tour of the castle. In the dining hall, we meet Amias of House Oliver, his right in the specters, almost a brother. She studies her surroundings and notices portraits, former rulers, Euclid's father, and Queen Issa, his mother, who died with a silver rod through her heart while her bed was set aflame. Oof.
Womp womp.
Yeah, that's a double tap right there. While trying to eat, she watches a woman come out and offer her wrist for blood sucking. The vampire man feasts, then runs his tongue over her wound. Disgusted, she instantly wants to go back to her room. He walks her back and reiterates he wants nothing from Emmeline. Uncle Marcus checks on her later that night and lets Emmeline know that they're building a school. This will all be worth it. Her sacrifice will be worth it. She wakes up at 3 a.m. hungry and sneaks out for food. Well, she feels like she is sneaking out, but she is allowed to go where she wants. But a vampire named Darius does try to stop her. Amias comes to her rescue. She takes this moment to ask some of her burning questions. She asks him about how he knows the prince and how long do half-bloods live, aka how long is her prison sentence. 300 years. Need to drink blood, though, and not human food. Noted. She asks if the turning hurts. He explains that the vampires take the pain. It's like waking up your true self instead of dying. She gets back to her room and goes to sleep as the sun rises, only to be woken up by her husband entering without a knock. The king wants them for breakfast. He specifically states, wear your hair down, it looks better than the braid, and then gives advice on how to act during breakfast. Sit and eat, don't lie, he can hear it in your heartbeat. Don't ask questions. She wears her hair in a braid. At breakfast, the king isn't happy with her little knowledge of the vampire world and requests that her and Euclid eat together and sleep together like a happy couple. The happy couple head back to their room. He sits with her and notices she likes to read, so he wants to show her the library. In the library, we see Amias and meet Felix, and they're in a compromising position. Imogen shows up, flirty as ever, and even offers Euclid to come by her room later. Em is hit with jealousy. She wonders why he even took her there and asks if Euclid left those books at her house. He says he has no clue what she is talking about. She starts to have a panic attack while yelling at him, and he brings her close to his chest as her little rabbit heart starts to slow down. She once again asks when he will turn her, then slaps him across the face, and he says, "Careful, wife. I might start to think you're flirting with me." Then she makes him sleep on the armchair. Ding ding, it's 7 p.m. and it's time for breakfast from Sasha. After breakfast, Euclid decides to take her to the meadows, and she agrees to come, but only if she can bring Sasha. She and Sasha can't ride horses well on their own, so Sasha goes with Imogen and Emmeline goes with Euclid. The meadow is his safe, secret place. It's a moonlit valley nestled at the base of a mountain in the countryside with bluebells. It's quite a scene as the group of vampires and their 2 human friends have a picnic. It all ends when they are under attack by wolves and other vampires. After saving her life, Euclid yells for her to hide near the tree line and stay low. A vampire tries to grab her, but Euclid is there again. Then she hears Sasha scream. She runs towards Sasha and hits the vampire over the head with a stick. Then he takes Sasha off the ground by the throat, so Emmeline does what any great friend would do and shoves the stick underneath his chin. Sasha gets grabbed by Imogen, then by Euclid. He says a line that will get any reader's heart beating fast. "Are you hurt? Did they fucking touch you?"
Oh, look at that.
Get
That was good.
Thank you. I've been practicing.
Really channeling here.
Yeah, trying. They didn't touch Emmeline, but Euclid does have 3 arrows in his back, but not knowing whose scent they attack, they can't go to a healer. They head to the safe house, a cabin in the woods. Sasha, Amias, and Felix tend to his wounds by burning them close. Emmeline holds his hands as he passes out from the pain. Euclid later awakes and refuses blood from Amias because he is not drinking from them. Amias promises it's not from them. It's cattle's blood. We learn he hasn't drank from humans in 5 months. They head back before sunrise. She lets him sleep in her bed. He states, "Be careful, you're starting to like me." He closes his eyes, sinking back into the lush linen pillows. That could complicate our marriage. She awakes tangled in his legs, and he is happy to see her, if you know what I'm saying. The maid comes to get them for breakfast with the king. They are going to find out answers. Euclid shows his father his arrows and accuses the king for the attack, but the king would never. The king and Euclid command to line the guard in the courtyard, spill the entrails of anyone trying to run. Emmeline goes up to her room and looks down to the courtyard to a dozen vampires and the 4 figures of the specters. In summary, Euclid pulls out each canine of the traitors and they are left out for the sun. Oh, and their hearts are taken out for the Feast of the White Moon. The next day, she starts to question what her role will be in the White Moon ceremony. And this is the one I have.
Let's see. I don't speak Latin, just a heads up, but I believe it's Luna Alba Ceremonia,
which happens twice a year during a full moon. Tired of the dying sounds, she ventures to the library to find Sasha. She learns of the thingy mentioned above and that it's a soul tie. No man or beast shall intercede. The soulbound are gifted with Loki and Numim.
That sounds better than what I did.
Oh, there's more to it. Whatever.
Yeah.
The soulbound are
Admentum.
gifted.
Yeah.
Like Loqui and Nemum Admentum.
That sounds really
That's
good.
perfect.
I mean, I don't think that's right,
gonna
but
cut
that's
that
as
in.
close
so
as I
much
can
better.
get.
Yeah.
Bottom line is they can speak mind to mind,
Yes.
which is what happened in the opening attack. Oh, wait. Thanks to Imogen's leading question, she puts the puzzle pieces together. She runs from the library and locks herself in the room. Euclid comes and wants in so that he can explain everything. She eventually lets him in. He explains how their seer saw that he was soul-tied, so he was forced to be held down by the king so they could find out more. They learned of Emmeline. The king was going to burn down the entire city to keep his bloodline pure. Euclid learned that Emmeline and her people were good, and he couldn't live with that. He couldn't live like he was raised. The treaty was a compromise to protect her from his enemies. He wanted to tell her, but couldn't risk it. The conversation ends with her needing time to process. Sasha helps her get ready the next day for the white moon ceremony. She chooses to leave her hair down, ooh la la, and Sasha decorates it with white baby's breaths and bluebells that she gathered from the meadow with Imogen.
Oh, my.
At the ceremony, Euclid refuses to look at Emmeline. He almost seems tense and is drinking heavily. The small feast will begin, then they will dance until the clock strikes midnight, and then, well, it's time to smash.
I love this.
He finally looks at her when they go out to the dance floor. He compliments her but is still drinking heavily. David, a friend from her town, interrupts and asks for a dance. Then Sasha interrupts that dance to tell Emmeline what she learned from Imogen. Oh, Imogen, tonight the vampires will become ravenous, especially the Soul Tide. This is just dinner before a giant orgy?
Yeah,
Both.
it is.
Heck yeah.
Both Sasha and Emmeline are perplexed, but Em ditches Sasha to find Euclid. He is in the training room fighting it out with Felix. She stands at a distance with Amias, who is there watching, enjoying the show, but then a strong breeze comes, carrying her scent to Euclid, and Amias yells, "You need to go." She rushes to her room and tries talking mind to mind with Euclid. It works, and they basically have what we would say is phone sex. It ends with her calling him husband for the first time. Felix comes the next morning to have coffee and talk. Another history lesson, but today's topic, Euclid's traumatic life story. The summary, the humans were cattle to them. The queen wasn't his real mom. It was actually a half-blood handmaid who was his real mom. But after having the baby, she was locked in the woods. He found out when he found the cabin and journals one day. She had long passed. This sob story does not mean Euclid was innocent, though. He loved the violence, and it made his father proud. He thought that was his only purpose until he found Emmeline. Being soul-tied is the biggest blessing, an actual purpose. He went to the cabin after finding out. Then the king and seer tortured the information out of him to find Emmeline. So Euclid and the specters knew they needed to devise a plan. Thus, their situation today. It ends with Felix handing her some light reading, a pamphlet about the change that used to be given to enslaved people. He leaves her to review it. Sasha rolls in looking rough and with bite marks, but no need to fret. Their saliva has a healing component, so she should be back to normal in no time. Also, Sasha had a good time earning them. Euclid rolls in next and wants to talk, but it ends with them making out. They have breakfast together after the steamy session, but not too much steam, not yet. He decides he wants to show her something. He takes her past the thermal pools and outside where they lay down and stare at the sky. Snuggling, stargazing, and talking freely, they discuss what she wants to do with her life. Her answer? Rest and just be. They make out again, and it was about to be more until they were interrupted by Amias.
Amias. Damn it.
A caravan was attacked, the one with David and Cairo.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
God bless it. The specters, Wraith, and Emmeline run to help, but it turns out that David and Cairo are fine. It looks like an explosion and less like an attack. The specters and Emmeline decide to escort them home and barely make it before the sun comes up. We learn just what the sun can do as Felix burns his hand with even just a little sunlight. Her aunt lets the group of vampires stay in Emmeline's childhood home. Her and Euclid take her bedroom while the specters get the cellar. Emmeline's aunt and uncle even offer refreshments, blood from the butcher. Left alone in her bedroom with Euclid, we all know what's about to go down. Another steamy session, but once again, not all the steam, not yet. We also get one of my favorite lines to Euclid where Emmeline says, "I may not be 127 years old, but I have had sex before, vampire." Afterwards, they go check on the others in the cellar. It's wild that the cellar is where she used to hide with her baby cousin, hoping she wouldn't die, and now she is hanging with the very thing that threatened her life, vampires. The group drinks and tells stories of how they became friends and how Amias and Felix came to be together. The only thing to note is that it was because of Imogen's meddling, of course. They head back to the castle the next night, and Euclid and Emmeline head straight to his bedroom where she asks more of her burning question. She talks about his age, if vampires can feed off each other, the turning. She ends the conversation demanding that she wants to be fed on so she can prepare for the turning. He does. The next morning, Amias interrupts them again because they have places to be to prepare for the ceremony. Euclid and Em promise to meet back up at sunup. After Emmeline is done bathing, Sasha sees the bite marks. She panics for a second, but then Emmeline explains everything. Sasha is about to say something when they are interrupted by Imogen to go wedding dress shopping. It's time to say yes to the dress. She chooses a golden wedding dress. Once she gets back, the king has a word with her and tells her she is just a symbol with no real power. Well, that's devastating, but she is focused on finishing up her conversation with Sasha. She falls asleep waiting for her, but Emmeline awakes and finds her uncle Marcus talking to Sasha in not a good way. But her uncle just says he needs Sasha to run an errand for him. She's uneasy but goes back to work with Imogen on her lines for the ceremony until she is called to bed by her husband. I don't like to reinvent the wheel, so in summary, they finally hook up. If you want the steamy details, then you need to read the book. They wake and get ready the next day. Sasha is still missing. Marcus comes to escort Emmeline to the ceremony. She is finally standing in front of the husband she loves, repeating the words for the ritual, when her forehead is wet with blood. An arrow is between the king's eyes. This was a plan all along. Did she know? No, she didn't. It was a trap. The next few moments are a whirlwind. Euclid wants her to leave, but her first thought is Sasha. She won't leave until they find her. He reluctantly understands and leaves Emmeline with Imogen to find Sasha while he goes and fights. Emmeline goes with Imogen to the tunnels. Imogen breaks down a door to get to Sasha, so way more than friends.
They were roommates.
Yeah, they were just roommates. Sasha is safe, but Imogen is quickly called by a whistle from the specters. She is torn between her duty and her friends. Well, one is more than a friend. Emmeline refuses to leave her husband, so Imogen decides to take them to the stables. They know they need to end this. Emmeline sees everyone fighting. It's how it's always been the last 200 years. She begs her family, her uncle, to stop the violence. During the argument, David shoots silver darts into Felix's eye. Then her uncle raises a sword with a deadly purple haze, nightshade, to kill Euclid. But she takes the hit instead. Everyone is in shock, but Euclid is able to save her by turning her right then and there. The mortals, her family, retreat. The next days are spent healing and adjusting. Turning into a vampire is no easy task. But during this time, she forgives her friend, spends time with her new friends, and decides on her plan on what to do with her uncle and the mortals. A meeting is held with her uncle and aunt, where as queen, Emmeline offers them secession. It all ends with a hug and the promise of a better tomorrow. So now we're going to jump right into the questions. I struggle with this one. Would you willingly turn for the love of your life, knowing everyone else you loved would die with age? So, obviously, you're Emmeline in this scenario.
Okay, and if I was Emmeline in this, yes. If it was like me, as in now, gosh, living forever seems like a really intense thing. But like in a fantasy realm, like vampire, she can read all the books she wants now.
But then everyone else I know, so everyone except Jordan dies.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Well, and your kids don't die because you had them with someone. Do they?
So they're half-blood when they're born.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So
but he's also going to die, too, because he's half-blood.
Mm-hmm.
But Emmeline, they're only going to live like 300
But you guys lived 300 years together.
Okay, well,
together.
Then I'm changing the question.
Okay.
You're immortal. You're going to live forever. And all the friends that you've made in your 27 years of life or 28 years of life, all your entire family, everyone except the one person you love or going to be with, you'll see them die.
But he's already immortal, so if you don't, then he has to watch you get old and die.
Yeah, but that's not on you.
Yeah.
That's on him.
I'm
Can you
still
imagine
changing.
if they get a divorce? They're like, actually, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
We decided to see other people.
But we
I
put
have to spend
150 years into this. Yeah, I don't want to be the castle counselor,
No,
going
God,
through
can you
the
imagine?
therapy session. So they did what, 50 years ago? You remember? Yeah, she remembers. Okay, so your answer is yes for all of you.
I'm turning.
Not even thinking twice about it.
How about you?
I don't know.
It'd be
I
so
mean,
hard.
Yeah, that's such I truly don't know. I want to, if Jordan, you're listening, I want to say yes, I could do that for you. But also, I do have a lot of people I love in my life.
I mean, have you seen or read Tuck Everlasting?
Yes, that's immediately what I think of whenever someone's like, would you live forever for that? And it's that thing is, do you live forever knowing that you live forever? Do you live really well for the time that you have?
Exactly.
Because she chose no.
Yeah.
I just think I would either have to say no and be like, we're going to enjoy my mortal life together if you wanna, or I would say, okay, I need a group of about 50 vampires to turn these 50 people that I want to bring with me.
That's
in the
probably
next...
what I would do. I'd be like,
Yeah.
okay, hold on. Like we have like a
Prenup.
Yeah, a prenup.
Oh, yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like these people have to be turned. So I have like this inner circle of like, because like, what if you get angry with them and then all your friends are dead? And then you're like, well, I guess I'm just going to go stare at a wall.
Yeah.
Well, and it still has to be their choice. Like, you
Yes.
can't take away their choice
Yeah.
either, too, because, again, that question affects them and everyone
Yeah.
they love as well.
That's
Exactly.
what Bella and Twilight did, and I don't even think she had a second thought, but also she basically had 0 friends
Yeah.
and no sibling. Like, she didn't have to think about anything. I just had a question mainly for you.
Okay.
Are the headaches just stress induced, or is it related to her, like, that bond, like, coming into place?
It was mostly the bond coming into
Okay.
place. Like it really, like, I mean, if you think, it's almost like, they're Bluetooth connected and there was a problem with the connection.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious because I was like, I don't know. I mean, I have had stress headaches. Man, they're
Yeah.
the worst. And
Yes.
man, would I be stressed in this scenario.
Yes.
So it would make sense.
It probably was like a lovely little like mixing pot
Yeah.
of the two.
Yeah, but to hear that voice for the first time in your head, I'd feel like
Yeah.
I would have blacked out, too. I'd have been like, no.
Yeah.
How are you in here? I guess I'll kind of skip ahead. That is something that I teeter-totter on. If I would like to be able to speak to anyone mind to mind, I don't know if I would.
I think that would be, can you imagine just sitting there breaking dinner and they're like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, who let you in here?
I think it'd be easier to like keep the secret of like I can read minds versus like I can now enter into yours and directly talk to you or something
Yeah,
like that. That would have to be like how do I want to use this?
Yes, exactly.
So let's just say you can do an add-on for your marriage to your partner, and you can say, I'd like to add on the mind reading. Would you do that?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, yeah.
I think I would.
Yeah.
I think we get so much. Oh my gosh, our texting would be like, it's so much simpler.
Yeah.
Just like, hey,
You
don't
wouldn't
forget
have to
eggs.
text.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the sexting.
Exactly.
It's perfect.
Just sitting there making dinner, like, yep.
Yeah. Keep going.
The speaking mind to mind, I would say
you would
yes.
check mark that one
Yeah,
on
check
the
it.
marriage certificate.
But the like reading somebody's mind, I don't think I'm into that because I feel like that would be very hard to control. Like I would do it without realizing it, and then I would feel like that was a like breach of privacy.
Yeah.
Violation of it. You don't want to be intensic?
I don't.
Would you volunteer to serve the household of your best friend?
100%.
Even knowing that you're going to be with the people that you're most scared of, that you've grown up hating and doing 200 years of war with.
I think it's that thing, like, like whenever you and your friend both have panic attacks, but they have a panic attack too, so you immediately like, I'm shelving my panic attack because I have to help her.
Yes.
I think it's that kind of thing. Because like you can have a panic attack in this other city, or you can make sure she's safe. So yeah, 100%.
And she just lost her brother. Like Sasha brother got killed in the battle previous. And
So she doesn't have anybody really
she's-
left.
Yeah, she's like alone, and she's like, well, I'm not going to leave you alone too.
So now
Yeah, I
she's
would go.
found her love of her life. If only they'll turn her.
Yep.
I bet Imogen will turn her.
Yeah, I have. Imogen probably already has turned her, I feel like.
It's just like 50 years in the future. Like, oh my gosh, Sasha, why have you aged? You're like, oh my God, I forgot to tell you.
Yeah.
Oh my
Shit.
God.
How
It
did
happened
this
that one
not-
night.
We're a very secretive couple.
Yeah.
Very private.
Very private.
How did this not come up?
Her aunt says, I hadn't thought it would be you. So do you think they were going to go through with it until it was Emmeline? Like, were they like, okay, let's do the treat, and then it's Emmeline, and they're like, okay, no, we can infiltrate now.
Yeah, Yes, which makes me so mad at her aunt and uncle because they're like totally fine sacrificing somebody of another family, and then they find out that it's their niece, and they're like, okay, well now we're gonna use this to kill all the vampires.
Yeah.
And then she just forgives them, and I'm like, ugh. I'm kind of with Euclid on the I'm not so forgiving wife.
I hold a grudge like nobody's business. I will cut people off at like, be like, no. But so I really had to like, especially whenever you're writing other characters, you'd be like, okay, you can't necessarily, you have to write what she would. Like she's got a lot of trauma. She just wants to be done with this. And she's probably not going to talk to him a lot after this. She's probably just doing this for herself. But at the same time, be like, I would burn that entire place down.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you?
Like, I went through with this. You came and told me you were building a school and, like, I don't know, hyped me up about it. And now you're literally not going to tell me anything and kill everybody around me that I've said, all right, I'm going to live with these people.
Yeah.
These vampires.
It was like them just trying to finally take control of that 200-year battle. And the reality is they actually came to an agreement to help both sides. So why throw that all away after all of this?
It's that anger. That was the whole thing, is that these men that couldn't let go and they had to like have the final word. And then you have all of these women. You've got Eva, you've got Emmeline, you've got Sasha, you've got all these people that are literally just like putting all of this on the back burner just so that they're like future generations don't have to go through this. And these men are like, you know what? Actually,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do this. So it is very much that, like I said, like that labor of that unseen labor of women constantly.
So do you think in her aunt and uncle's minds, the only reason they didn't tell her of the plan was because they can hear the heartbeat, so they'll know if she's lying? Or did they just keep her in the dark because they were trying to protect her in a sense?
So when I wrote them, I gave them, because it is that thing, like, it's not good, right? Like they're not being good people, but in their minds they're like, okay, if we don't tell her, we're not going to add a lot of extra stress or anything like that. But it's really them. They don't want to deal with it. They didn't think they'd have to deal with her. They thought it'd be really easy to grab some young person that was probably already in the rebellion, and her uncle knew she was like committed to this peace. And so, and she wasn't really like a violent person. She just wanted to go about her life. And so I think in their minds they were doing her a favor and didn't think ever to even ask her what she wanted.
Yeah, just keep her in the dark because that's where she would like to be.
Yeah.
He had the conversation with her before they signed the treaty. He's like, I know what she wants to do, and it's not be involved in war.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Well, that's the only reason why I thought maybe the plan was all along was to infiltrate, just because the conversation that they have when they're both awake at the house from her having a nightmare and he's just up thinking is, what would you give to have that? And she was like, everything. I just thought that was maybe more of an understanding on her uncle's part, but no.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's kind of both. Like I said, in his head, he's doing what he thinks is right.
Yeah.
I just think that it's kind of, it makes me even more mad at Marcus's character, because I'm like, you went through with this treaty and you got the opportunity to talk to your niece and learn that she was willing to do this.
And she was happy.
And
she was like,
happy to
hey,
do
we're
it.
soulmates. Like,
Yeah. And without talking to her, now you're going to take that choice away again. Like, one, you took choice away when you signed the treaty for whoever it was going to be.
Yeah.
It just ended up to be your niece. And now, two, you're going to take her choice away to stay for peace and start war again. Like, what the heck, man?
So then that would be my follow-up question. You're Marcus in this scenario, or you're playing the role of Marcus in this scenario, and the opportunity comes up to have peace with the vampires, and all you need to do is have one of your people marry into the family, the royal family. Are you saying yes to that? Are you ending that war right there?
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's
100%.
your son.
Yeah. I mean,
You're still sending your son out?
I'm still doing it because I said I was going to do it. And if I'm a war-hardened general, I should have that in mind, that it might not turn out the way I think it's going to, but hopefully it's still going to be peace.
Well, and I'm such a huge history buff, and I love like anything like Tudor era, Renaissance. Like, I mean, they did that all the time. Like that was like a bargaining chip. And so even in that fantasy world, I kept that same kind of politics where, arranged marriages were really big. Even in the book, Amias was supposed to have an arranged marriage. So like it's very normal to the vampires. Like they're like, oh yeah, this is actually like a no-brainer.
It's a good opportunity for them for peace. And then it just made me very upset that he flip-flopped and went back to war. And I do think that is a lot of what happens with wars is the people in charge decide, no, never mind, we can get a leg up on them, and they get greedy.
Once again, it's these older people sending these younger people to war to fight their arguments. And the younger people are like, hey, I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't want this. Yeah.
And like, I get it. The older people fought in the war too, and their older generations put them in it as younger people. But
it's a generational trauma.
Yeah. At some point, there has to be change, and then you have to commit to the change.
Yes.
And there's still going to be hard feelings. I mean, Sasha's brother freaking got killed, and she's committed to the change. You see all these people with scars and hurt, and to have change, you have to commit.
Well, not only like you were saying through marriage back in the times of like trying to broker peace among two nations or whatever, like they also would take rebellion of that as well. So like if you were rebelling or not doing what you were supposed to under that rule, they would take that child or whatever from that household too as part of that brokerage and be like, well, this is how we're going to do this because I don't want you to do this again.
Yep.
So then
you would do it. I mean, you would. Like that's the reality of it. You wouldn't have a choice at that point.
No one has Wi-Fi or anything like that. They're just doing their best.
Take a second. Imagine that the king doesn't die at the end. Do you think we're still going back to a war? Pretend the humans said, you know what? We're going to go through with it. Emmeline, enjoy your marriage. It's going to be great. But the king literally said, you're just a symbol. You have no power. So I know we probably all feel like this was the better outcome because it ended the war. But would we have reached a different outcome?
I feel like if Romulus would have lived, I feel like he probably wouldn't have lived very long because Euclid didn't like his dad. And I think the first time he ever, like if he found out the way he was talking to Emmeline, I have a feeling he just would have right away.
He was already like at the point where he was possibly going to kill him when he saw the crest of their house on the soldiers that attacked.
Yeah, I'm not entirely convinced, too, that he didn't send those people out.
Just kind of like as a test.
What's
going to happen?
If you can live, then I'll keep you.
And the only reason, that was the lovely thing, like when they had that little conversation, the only reason was like, no, I wouldn't do that. You're my heir. It wasn't like, oh my God, you're my son. I love you. It's like, no, like, why would I do that? I barely have kids. Like, you're literally my only kid. So I love that he's just very he's just very straight to the fact. Like, you're my son. I wouldn't kill you. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're right, Pops.
That was going to be my one thing that I wasn't upset about at the end of the book because I was upset at Marcus and I was upset at the aunt and I was like, why are you doing this? But what I wasn't upset with was the outcome of Romulus dying. I was like, he
had to go.
He seems totally evil and just completely hell-bent on having all the power that he can have. So
and they last for a really long time too. So you're like, he's just going to drag it out as long as possible. Yeah,
probably outlive his son. Is because as far as we know, isn't he like a pureblood vampire too?
And so Euclid technically wouldn't live as long because his mother was half-blood, but would live like a fairly long life.
That's the whole thing I also don't get is that he wants to protect his pure bloodline, and that's the reason why at first he wants to kill Emmeline. Like, what pure bloodline? Whatever kid your son has is not going to be pure, so it didn't...
It's all for the sake of appearances. He had to be like, no, there cannot, because then they're going to think I'm weak, even though he already shacked up with the servant. You know what I mean? So...
I mean, the whole storyline of his real mom and being kept in the woods and never getting to see his son. We said that during the interview, how that's the saddest part of the book, that his mother was within reach, but just out of grasp. That's so sad to me. Sad for her.
Yeah.
Sad for him. You think you know your mom, find out you have a mom, and then you mourn the time that you could have had with her.
I think her leaving the journals was like her final act of like being able to mother him. And in the end, it was her that changed his mind. You know, because he was always brainwashed that Romulus was, he didn't like him, but he was his dad, and his dad was proud of him as long as he was doing what he was supposed to. And I think getting to see that side and having his mother post-mortem tell him, kind of show him who she was as a person, not as just, like he was saying, walking blood bag. So in her final moments, still, she had that chance, and she was a better mother to him even when she had passed.
Yeah, she showed him the monstrous side of Romulus at the same time as her human side and let him see the difference there.
100%.
I was just going to say that Euclid's story almost brought me to tears several times throughout the book. He just went through a lot of heartache.
Everyone has so much trauma in this book.
Well, I mean, it's kind of
relatable to some degrees. Like, it did well for the storyline for sure. It showed a lot of their growth and what they had to get through, and then even together how they've helped each other through a lot of it. Like the friendships, the specters, that they've been through a lot together over those years. They've seen even Euclid go through hell and back with his father, and knowing of that whole cabin that he found his mother's journals at, that's the returning place of where they even found him when things were really bad.
It's a very good story of found family.
Yeah. Yes, that's my favorite trope.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, because they have to be raised together since there's so few vampire children or vampire children. So it's just very nice to see that close bond doesn't go away.
Going to the vampires not being able to have children, I personally almost feel bad for the vampire women, because Imogen is talking about how her mom almost went mad because she was trying for 50 years. I don't know if it's because I just saw the episode of Secret Life of Mormon Wives, and they do like a pregnancy roulette. So everyone at this, I'm going off a tangent here.
No,
but
you're fine.
It's a reality show. Have you seen the clip for it? Okay.
I was on Mormon Talk.
I eat it up. It's just so interesting to me. But they are on this like retreat, and one girl, well, I think probably the producers, told them, everyone take a pregnancy test to see if anybody's pregnant. And 2 girls at the trip were pregnant, hadn't told the group yet, didn't want to tell the group yet. And then one girl had been trying for like 4 years. And so when they each pulled like a pregnancy test out of the hat, and obviously the girl that happened to have been trying for 4 years pulled one out, and it said it pregnant. But she's like, I know it wasn't me, but there was a small part that was like hoping it was me.
Yeah.
So
that breaks my
yeah.
heart. Like, damn.
I was like, when you grow up, so many people are focused on not getting pregnant that when it's time to get pregnant, you're like, oh, you actually have to plan this out. So I just really felt for Imogen, and not Imogen, I guess, but her mother, and just how badly they wanted their vampire children but couldn't have them. So I found that to be a sad storyline for the vampires, where you almost feel bad for them.
How different it would have been if Romulus had Euclid but also had a daughter that was half-blood, and that he could marry off to another vampire. Would that still have been problematic for like future children of that line, even though technically she's not heir to the throne?
So I think it's funny that he says to stop wearing the braid. And it just makes me think, in 6th grade, there was this kid that I had a crush on in the youth group, and he said that braids were like his least favorite hairstyle. And I was like, as I'm wearing 2 braids, like, oh my God. Yeah, I hate it too. It's so bad. Yeah. So I just didn't know if you have a personal hairstyle of your own that you love the most, or if you want to say one that you hate on yourself.
I cannot do anything with my hair. I've never been able to. So just leaving, if I could learn how to braid, like, man, I got in the House of Dragon, and I was like, every time I see like their long, pretty hair and their braids, one day I'm going to figure that out. I say that, and I'm already almost 40, so the time is going down. But yeah, just long hair, just being able to like just curl it and let it stay.
Yeah.
Except we live in Oklahoma, so everything's humid.
I go through phases, and I will like grow my hair out and not get haircuts, and then I'll chop it all off. And then I'm like, oh my God, I need my hair. So I grow it out again.
Yep.
And then,
That's me. I do like braids, but I'd rather my hair down, I guess, or in a ponytail, because that's just my default. Yeah. But like, I hate now that the popularity of things is just to crown the braid. And I'm
very like midsummer.
Yes.
I think I'm with you. I wish I could do so much more with my hair. I wish I could, I don't even know. I wish I could just do everything. My hair basically is always like a little wavy. I usually let it natural because, like you, if I do anything to it, it takes a can of hairspray.
Yep.
Plus, I just don't do anything to it because it's a lot of work.
I'm just lazy. I literally get out of the shower and like let it air dry and brush it.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
I
It's
guess
my
if I could
go-to.
have, like a personal hairstylist and makeup artist, then I would wear more makeup and I would do my hair more if it wasn't
100%.
me doing it.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if we could go back to the 2000s where the little bump,
Oh my gosh.
because
my
I can do the
gosh.
bump.
Bits? Okay,
Yeah.
I literally saw this younger girl. She's like, hey, I got these things and they're called bumpits. And I was like, stop it. I was like, I can't.
She was being serious?
She was being serious. I thought
Oh
it was
my
like being
gosh.
ironic. I was like, guys, I can't do that again. Do you know how much teasing? I lost so much hair just like.
All right, well, you
then-
heard it here.
Yeah.
The bumpits
The
are
bumpits
back.
coming back.
Oh, my
That and
God.
low waist jeans.
Oh, God.
Low rise? No.
Yeah, the low
Yeah.
rise jeans. I tried some on. I was like, why is this? And I did. I looked at it and I was low rise. I was like, I can't do that.
Can't go back
do
there.
that again,
Dark
guys.
days.
I love eating bread.
I do like the poof, and the poof would like slowly start to get higher and higher.
Yes.
I remember when I learned the poof and then straightening the hair, did not know you had to straighten the back of your head as well.
The back of my hair is none
Big
of
learning
my
curve.
business.
Yeah.
None of my business.
It's someone else to worry about.
Yep.
The first time I showed up after getting my Chi hair straightener,
Oh.
Chi was a big
Yeah,
deal.
that was a big
Super
deal.
stoked. I'm pretty sure I probably like from this angle looked really good, and then when I turned my head, it was like, oh, I think she forgot to do the back. Didn't forget, didn't know it was a thing. Another kind of just fun question is, everyone's always bringing her coffee. You know, when she's going through these conversations, waking up, she has her little fun drink, coffee, and then I feel like she's almost asking, can you eat regular food? Can you drink regular drinks? Because in her mind, she's like, will I still be able to enjoy this
Yes.
cup of coffee? So you're changing vampire in this scenario.
Yes.
So you're going to become vampire. You can choose one drink and one food to bring with you to the other side. What are you choosing?
Man,
What?
Sorry, only one. What do you want me to say, 10?
Emily.
we like have a list.
I can't decide between coffee and Red Bull. But then I'm also like, but then if you just like wanted a glass of wine, you couldn't do that either. That's out.
Now, if it helps you,
Okay.
for the vampires, they could do tea
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So you can mark that off your thing. They could do like the
So
tea
can they do
stuff.
coffee?
You know, I'm going to say yes. I feel like
Okay.
there's no reason why they shouldn't, because they also drank wine. Too.
Yeah,
like
they-
when they had
Yeah, they
wine and stuff with
spiced
dinner.
it. Yeah.
Their spiced blood, which is very like, can you imagine? When I was trying to think about it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is gonna be like aged like spiced blood, and then I immediately just like I was like, blood congeals. I was like, I don't know. I can't think about their wine making process into blood.
That's for the experts.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, every time I hear the word spiced, and this is not a writing thing, this is a me thing, I can only picture those bags that you can buy at Christmas time that have like the pine cones in them and other
Yes.
things. And they're like, here, it smells like Christmas in your house. You can put this in a little tray on your dining table.
like little potpourri.
Yeah, potpourri.
Yes.
Spiced, I know it's not what that means in this. I'm like, oh, it's Christmas wine. That's
No, but
Christmas
it
flavored
does-
wine.
Anytime I was doing it as well, it did like this like, you know, like mulled cider, like spiced, what is that called? Like where they do the steamed apple cider and stuff. It's immediately what I think of. And once again, same with you. Like I know that's not what they're
Yeah.
talking
Yeah,
about.
I like think apples and cinnamon.
Yes,
Spiced
yes.
is apples and it's cinnamon.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Okay,
I
so
know some
then,
of it.
I want a cinnamon Coke, which only comes out during the holidays.
Oh, I've never
Okay.
heard of this.
I've never heard of that.
yeah,
I'm gonna
I've never
try
heard of it.
this.
Okay,
ever.
during the holidays, look for them. They're sometimes in like mini cans, which I
Okay.
recommend in case you don't like it. But it takes the bite out of that acid of like a real good
Yeah.
Coke. But it is so.
Cinnamon Coke.
It is
Okay,
so
I'm
good.
adding it to my like little
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
I want that and fruit because if I have to get my meat or my blood through
that's
something
true.
else, I want to still be able to enjoy fruit as my my. I don't know.
Sweet stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
I
I
got
was
it.
almost said savory, and I was like, that's not right.
Have you guys seen Adventure Time where the vampires
Yes.
just suck the color
The
red?
color out of it. Yes.
That's what, when you said fruit, I don't know. I was like just sucking the fruit.
I'm thinking French fries in a Red Bull.
Ooh.
I can't. What if I just want a salty treat?
Exactly.
Just throw my
But what about
food in the ocean?
Oh my gosh, like I need Coke and then I like potato chips. The like kettle potato chips.
What if
Okay.
I have a tummy ache as a vampire? What am I doing? You know, what's going on?
Put some lime or ginger in your blood.
Yeah.
Just little cocktail.
Just have a redhead.
I guess I could have some tahini on my fruit, and then I'd be fine.
There you go.
As a
Tahini?
salty. Like,
Yeah.
Would tahini be are we okay? I guess it's a seasoning.
Yeah.
So seasonings are still allowed.
Yeah.
I would hope
Okay,
so.
I'm just gonna
Gosh.
season my blood with some French fries.
Okay, so in the opposite sense, what's a food you think if you were a vampire you would not be able to handle? Just randomly, like,
Humans.
guess one.
Humans
so
would
you
be a
would
tough.
avoid the humans for
Oh,
blood?
yeah, you're actually asking this? Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't even fathom my mind around, like, cannibals, like serial
Right.
killers when they
Yeah.
eat
I mean,
their
they
people.
don't eat the person. They just
I
drink
know
the
they just drink the blood, but blood kind of, I'm a texture person, and
Yeah.
it does kind of sound thick, and like
Thick,
you were saying,
yeah.
it congeals. I don't like that word.
No, I don't like it.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either.
But so picture like from a human, or you're gonna go suck blood from a cow or
That
something.
was like what I was thinking. It was like
ooh.
whenever they're like, "Oh, we'll get you blood from a butcher," and I was like, "Ugh." I almost would rather just like straight from the vein. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
That's
like
what I'm saying.
organic.
Yeah.
But
Instead of dripping the
Organic,
cow for
straight-
so long.
non-GMO blood, please.
Right from the source.
I'm an organic vampire.
Well,
very
and you gotta
almond.
think like they've got, you know, people eat like England and stuff like that, like blood pudding. And back during like during the Irish, whenever they were having their issues with the potato famine thing,
Yeah.
I mean, they would add like blood from cows and stuff to get the vitamins and things
Yes.
like that.
And, like,
I read
they
that
would-
in a book. That might not be 100% historically accurate. It was when I was 13, but it sounds right. But like they have stuff like blood pudding and stuff like that.
And blood sausage.
Yeah, and blood sausage, and that makes me want to vomit. But
Yeah.
but I for some reason, and I don't know, it's because like I grew up on like Twilight and True Blood. I'm like, I mean, I feel like biting, like that would be. I don't know why. Same thing with the texture.
Yeah.
I don't know why that would feel like it's not
Not
as
as-
much of it. Like it's almost like you're sucking it through a straw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Taking a sip. I don't know. I
I
drink.
feel like it's better for
Yeah.
me.
I would choose like I think animals' blood though. I eat their meat now, so
That's
taking
true.
their blood, I feel would be easy. I like.
Yeah.
I mean, I like
Steak.
bloody steak.
Yeah.
Oh, I
so-
don't like bloody steak. I like mine well done. I don't think I'd make a great vampire, if I'm
I
being
just-
honest.
I just well done.
No,
is-
medium well. Sorry, medium well, which is not
Okay.
as bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, medium well.
When you said well done, though,
Sorry.
I was about to like test our friendship here.
I
Like,
love
I
how
am not coming over for
We're like
cooking.
the crunchy vampires. You're like, oh my god, no! I only go straight from the. It's just it's pure that way.
Yeah.
There's no additives.
I don't think I could have like a
Locally
glass
sourced.
of it
Locally
and just be
sourced.
like
Yeah.
Sipping
locally
it.
sourced.
I
yeah.
try to think of it like whenever I was thinking it's almost like their little like those little protein shakes. Like maybe because apparently like when she drinks it, it's the best thing she's ever had in her life. Because I was thinking that because as
Yeah.
a person that eats something and I eat something savory, like roast is my favorite thing. Like roast and potatoes and carrots, favorite thing.
Yes.
But after I'm done, I need a little sweet treat.
Mhm.
So I was trying to think. I'm like, so they got to have like some wine and stuff like that. Because if you're gonna have a meal, I immediately think protein, vitamins. It's a savory meal. So
Yeah.
you got to have like wine and stuff like that.
But like
Yeah.
every time I've ever read about vampires, blood from different people tastes different.
Yes.
So you like got to get your hunky savory dude,
That is-
and then your
yes.
sweet little cinnamon roll guy.
I like who said bite a ginger because I think that'd be
Mm-hmm.
yeah. They're like they're just a little spicier. I really like the redheads.
What is your safe secret place? I think we've asked this on a recent podcast too, going over a similar book with something like this. But I guess you weren't here to ask it. But his is obviously the meadow. So that's his safe secret place. Do you have a safe secret place that you either go to in your mind as a spot to kind of bring you back down to a level place or a physical place that you're like, this is my favorite place in the world?
So both. My house is my safe space. We just bought our first house and it's been the best thing. Like I've been able to curate. I love interior design stuff. I love putting everything. My whole thing was that I wanted my house to look like Hermione Granger and Elizabeth Bennet had lived there. So a lot of books, plants, and a lot of cats. And so that was my whole thing. So going home, I've got my husband and my son and my animals. Like that is my safe space. I'm happy there.
Yeah.
In my mind, especially when especially people that grew up with or had processed any kind of trauma, going into your mind space is a real thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so as somebody who I guess it's called maladaptive daydreaming, I just thought it was just, a thing everybody did. Even still to this day, and I'll be honest, this is where I get 98% of my stories is I used to do it when I was younger. Going to sleep, I'd make up stories in my head. I could see it like a movie. I would stop and pause and go off. If I was in a car ride, I'd do that. So still to this day, I'm stressed out. I'm in traffic. I'm just like having a day where I just need to turn off my head. So now, like I'm writing a new story, I just go there and I'm pausing and going back. So I can very much anytime like I was watching this TikTok from this movie where it's like a sci-fi and like you get locked in your own head for like a certain amount of time and that's like your prison space. I'm like, that's fine. I can do that. I have a wealth of information up here. No big deal.
It's going just fine up there.
Yeah, I'm doing just fine. So
I also can go off on those daydreams, or if I can't sleep, I will think of a favorite movie and try to remember it from beginning to end, or a part in a book where I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to remember every single detail of this part in the book that I loved. Yeah. And that helps me fall asleep usually.
Oh, definitely. It's like you're just turning on a remote. Like, oh my God, where was I in Twilight last night? I fell asleep.
I can do that with American Dad. That's my
I love American Dad.
If I can't sleep, I will like either just like sing the theme song in my head and I'll go to sleep, or I can turn it on or just think of like I have favorite episodes that I go back to. So physically in the world, if I'm having something happen to me and I need to get away to like decompress, I do choose to like go take a shower.
I feel like as a kid that I used that a lot more. I haven't always been able to do that as an adult, but I do feel like I still try and go outside because I feel like I can breathe.
Yeah, that makes
to
sense,
some degree. So even whether that's like just walking away from something, or I can in my head picture, now that I've been to beaches, like I can picture and hear that water and just feel those sand between my toes. I'm like, okay, this is calming and so much better than where I was at mentally just a second ago.
Yes.
New York City is like my favorite place in the world. So maybe mentally I go to like a cafe where I love to eat the food or get ramen or something. Or just I guess I don't really need a safe space in a sense. I like to have a piece of paper and a pencil because I get really stressed out if I have a lot of to-dos on my mind, but I can't physically see them. So I don't keep a planner in the traditional sense of Monday through Friday, this is what I'm going to do. I keep a notebook with completely blank pages so that I can write a to-do list. Because if I am starting my day and I'm going to say I'm going to do these 4 things on my to-do list and I only do 3, mentally, that messes with me. I have to really say it's okay that you didn't get that one thing done. It can go to tomorrow's to-do list, but it really makes me struggle.
It's crazy how much that can help you, though. If you do something like that or consistently, your mental space is just much cleaner.
Yes.
I feel like.
That's why I always tell people to journal. Like even if it's just whenever you're like really upset, because like if you're able to get that out on paper, it seems so weird. It's almost like you're just like word vomiting on the paper and you're like, you didn't tell anybody.
Yeah.
But you kind of did.
Feel like it.
Yeah.
Would you have forgiven Sasha so easily? Or do you think you'd be kind of like, hey, Sasha, you've done a lot for me. I still didn't want you to die, but you were going behind my back for weeks or 2 weeks.
I don't know. I really enjoyed the fact that they all forgave her so easily because she went into it purely to help Emmeline. Like she wasn't going into it with an ulterior motive. It was presented later, and she had seen how upset Emmeline was and went along with it and then tried to change everything once she knew the truth.
Yeah.
So I think she deserved the easy forgiveness, and I would hope as a friend I would give easy forgiveness for that kind of mistake.
Yeah.
In the same breath, would you have forgiven the aunt and uncle who I already know you don't really like as easily?
The aunt, I feel like there was an aha moment for her when Emmeline yelled, like, how can you do this? Do you want to see Cairo fighting? Like, I know you don't want that. So what are you doing here? And I feel like it clicked, and she was like, the blinders that were put on by her husband were like lifted away, and she's like, oh fuck, we had a chance to not have our babies come and do this anymore, and like, we literally are about to throw it away. So I feel like I'm not as mad as the aunt because I also can understand how it would be easy to get caught in that trap. I mean, they're dealing with hundreds of years of this, so just change is difficult.
Yeah, it's ingrained in them.
Now the uncle I am going to struggle with forgiving for sure.
Yeah.
It's almost like he just had a hard time, both of them, but especially the uncle, in the position of like almost counsel general he was to his own people. He just couldn't give up the revenge of this opportunity.
Yeah.
And
that's
even
what
knowing his niece is in this position of power and showing that like we are making changes on our side, but we can still do better. Like that was hard of a forgiving more than it was for Sasha, because Sasha, I think she intentionally tried to protect and help Emmeline through all of this. And then when she was given the information of that this is actually turning into love, like they can actually make a change here and they do love each other, she did try to change the outcome of what the uprising was happening or, you know.
Well, and I think for Sasha, too, I mean, it is that whole thing. Like you said, they had been raised in this. And this, I mean, the general was like, he's pretty much like, you know, the president almost, you know what I mean? I mean, this guy has led her and led everybody. I mean, her brother fought underneath him. So, like, if somebody in a position of power comes up and tells you and is like, hey, no, this is for the good, this is going to help your friend. You already wanted to help your friend. Yeah. I mean, I feel like, once again, it's just him exuding this power over these people. And it's her, the way that she was able to kind of deconstruct from all of that and try to save them in the end. And I think you could just tell how remorseful she was, especially because, you know, she was falling for Imogen.
Yeah.
I mean, they were in love with each other. And so the internal battle, the same thing that was happening with Emmeline, was probably even worse because she wasn't forced to marry Imogen.
Yeah.
But so she was choosing to fall for this woman and couldn't quite relocate her feelings versus what she'd been taught. So,
well, to go back to what you said earlier, I am also a big grudge holder, but in the sense of when it comes to people I love and care about, I'm very confrontational. Let's get this over with. Let's not have grudges to hold. But if it's a stranger wronging the person I love, I will always remember that.
oh, yeah, 100%. Yep.
I will remember that forever. So.
Oh, yeah. My friends, like, literally, like, I've had to say this before, like, I'm like, especially my friends, like, if they just came up and was like, I'm sorry, I'm going to do better. I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, that's cool. You know, I love you, whatever. But, and like the aunt and uncle, I think really, like, when I was thinking about like Emmeline, she did it more for her inner peace, nothing to do whether or not she forgave them.
We're jumping into the last question here. Is favorite moments or lines or character that you just want to get off your chest?
I think my favorite moment is when she finds him battling in the practice grounds or whatever and with Felix, and he sees her, and then they're like, you gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
and then she's there in the room and she's thinking and she's like, I want to help him. It wasn't like something that was forced, and he made sure and didn't force anything on her obviously the marriage, but that was ultimately
it was out of his hands.
Yeah.
Ultimately to save her, okay? And he never forced anything, and she realized, oh, I want to help this guy. I want to be there for him.
I mean,
and
they were soul tied, and that wasn't something they either had a control in.
True. That was my favorite part, is when she realized that she wanted to help him, and then they had their little sexy time in their heads. The mind thing is something that I like in books, so.
Yeah.
Big same.
I just freaking loved Imogen. I just really liked her character as a whole. I was rooting for her. The only time I was iffy on her is in the library, but I was just like, that doesn't seem like your MO. It doesn't seem like you're the side chick. That does not seem like you, even though we had just met her. But I felt that way. So I just liked her the whole book. I like that she might even be a truer friend in Sasha in the sense that she pushes him to tell the truth. She's like, I'm tired of this. I don't want to see anyone get hurt. You just need to be a man and man up and tell the truth. So I just enjoyed her.
It's that woman empowerment that is themed throughout the book, and that she knows what needs to happen, and she's tired of waiting on him to do it.
The women get it done in this book.
Absolutely.
She's my favorite moments too, because she is such an instigator.
Yeah.
Because without her, it would have taken so much longer for the truth to come out of everything. And I just love that, like, even though the guys in that group know, like, she prefers women, even though it's, like, said and hinted at later on, Emmeline has no idea.
Yeah.
And so she honestly she's like, I did it for a reason. You needed to start moving.
I kind of understand why he asked Emmeline when they're at her house, like, have you had sex? Because some things go through her ear and out the other. Where you're like, honey, like, what
Are you okay?
As the author, what was your favorite?
Okay, so obviously it's always going to be Euclid and Emmeline, but if I had to pick like somebody that's not the MMC and FMC, it's Felix and Amias.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just loved the Spectres so much. I loved making their own little personalities. And I don't know why. I just loved Felix too, because he's such like, I feel like such a sweet soul, but he's also like a badass. And the way that Amias like tries to make sure and take care of him and make sure he's good the entire time. It just has like this mother hen, and you know, Amias is such like this big vampire going around and like he like burns his hand. He's like, no, what can we do?
Yeah.
You know, call the medics. And he's like, I'm literally fine.
Yeah.
And it like even in the end, whenever he gets like, and he has to wear an eye patch, and he's like, no, this is just way more sexier.
Yeah.
So I love them. And like, I'll echo everybody. Imogen is one of my favorites. I think she is just so fantastic, and like you said, she knows what needs to be done, and she's okay if they're pissed off at her, because she knows in the long run, like these just emotionally stunted men just needed a little push.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then she turns out to be such a good friend and companion to Sasha, but also to Emmeline, which is the biggest thing you need to break that barrier for.
100%. And when she tells him, like after she does the speech and everything, she's about to go do the very last ceremony. And she's like, I think you're going to do really good at this. And that was that like big bonding moment that they had. Yeah. So I love that.
Yeah, her like stony exterior kind of cracked away, and she's showed that the softness is still there.
Yes.
I stand by it. You could expand this world if you really wanted to with the other vampire kingdoms.
Now let's wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode. Next episode, we will be stripping down Summer in the City by Alex Astor. Don't forget to give us a follow on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and nothing else. I just added that in. Tune in every Friday on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts for a new episode of
Book Thots!